Hello, my fiber mates, welcome! This winter, I've started my creative journey on this channel. As Christmas is approaching, I was eager to make a soft and fluffy piece in the related colors to get ready. This bag is created with a huge fun. I really love it. Today, I'm gonna share the full tutorial with you, and you can also download a free pattern through the link in the description box. Now get yourself ready and let's make it together. The bag is 27 centimeters wide and 30 centimeters long. It starts with Judy's magic cast on, and it's knitted bottom up. But if you prefer another custom method, you can freely choose it. Just remember to sew the bottom in the end. The back sides are folded with the help of the purl stitches and slip stitches. The main part is worked in a round, basically in stockinette stitches. After, the handles are knitted in a flat into 4 parts, then sewed up the tops and the sides. The bottom is folded and fixed inside. And then, if you like, you can crochet these cute ornamental apples with a crochet hook. Either fix them on the bag or use them as brooches. I hope you like them! For knitting the bag, I use more than 3 balls of the Feeling Good yarn from Wood and Gun and a 4.5mm circle needle, which is 80 centimeters long from point to point. For crocheting 1 apple, I use 7 grams of Merino No. 5 from Looping Mango and a little bit of ADK weight yarn for knitting the stem. I use a 12mm crochet hook and the same knitting needle. Firstly, cast on 170 stitches. If you are going to use Judy's magic cast on like me, you need to leave a tail long enough to make half of the stitches, which is 85 stitches. So, take your yarn and wrap around a needle 10 times. Then, copy it 8 times. Put the yarn tail near you and the yarn ball on the side away from you. Hold the yarn in one hand like this. Hold 2 needles together. And put the yarn on top of the first needle. This is your first stitch. Stop it with your finger. And wrap the yarn on your index finger on the second needle. Then wrap the yarn on the thumb to the first needle. Again on the second needle. On the first needle. Repeat this alternatively until you have 85 stitches on each needle. 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85. Now you just cast on 170 stitches. Hold your yarn from unraveling. You can place a marker here to understand where is half of the stitches. Rotate the needle clockwise. And then pull out the needle that's near us. Wrap the yarn tail around the working yarn twice from unraveling. And we are going to start working the stitches on the first needle. Start from the middle of the back side. So purl 1 stitch. And knit 16 stitches. Place a marker. Now we are working on the front piece. Knit 52 stitches. Place a marker. And knit 16 stitches. Place a marker here. Pull out the first needle and move the stitches to be worked on the second needle. Now we are going to work the stitches on the second needle, repeating the same pattern. Be aware that in the first round we need to work the stitches on the second needle through the back loops. So purl 1 stitch, snug it to avoid a gap, knit 16 stitches through the back loops. Place a marker, and now we are working on the back piece. Knit 52 stitches. And place a marker. Knit 16 stitches. Now you finish the first round. Place a marker to indicate the beginning of the round. Pull out this needle and get ready to work the stitches on the first needle again. Second round. Purl 1 stitch and knit 16 stitches. Slip the marker, slip the stitch purlwise with the yarn in back. Knit until 1 stitch remains before the next marker. Slip the stitch purlwise with yarn in back and slip the marker. And knit 16 stitches. Repeat the same pattern on the second needle. The third round, purl 1, knit 16, slip the marker, and knit onto the next marker. Slip the marker, knit 16. Repeat the same pattern on the second needle. So you are going to repeat these 2 rounds alternatively until your bag is 30 centimeters from the bottom. Make sure you are finishing it with round 3. In the beginning, you might find it difficult to knit in a round with the magic loop method, but after several rounds, you can knit comfortably on the 80 centimeters needle. One tip to show you how I understand which round I need to work on now, without counting the number of rounds. Now we are at the ridge. To know if you should slip or knit, let's check the back. You can see there is a line covering this stockinette stitch here, which means you just made slip stitch in the previous round. So now you need to knit this stitch. When the bag shows that it's a normal knit stitch, in this round you need to slip this stitch. The main part is done. Now we are going to make the handles. Knit 2 stitches together, so the purl stitch is decreased. Knit 15 stitches until the marker. Remember to place a marker to indicate which row you start the handle. I put it on the last round of the bag body. Slip the marker, slip the stitch. Actually, you can confirm it by looking at its back. Knit out of 15 stitches. Count if there are 16 stitches after the marker. Turn to the back. Slip with yarn in front to make edge stitch, and then purl 30 stitches. Then slip the final stitch purlwise. And turn to the front. Knit 16 stitches. Slip, knit 15 stitches. Repeat these 2 rows for a total of 54 rows. Okay, when you finish 54 rows, take out a piece of waste yarn and a tapestry needle. We're going to put these stitches on hold. Make a knot. Then cut the tail 30 centimeters long. So we will leave this part on hold and start to make another half of the handle. We need to skip the stitches in the middle of the bag by binding them off and making the handle on the other side. Attach the yarn and bind off 20 stitches. One, 2, 3, 18, 19, 20. Okay, I just bound off 20 stitches. Now count if you have 16 stitches before the marker, including the stitch remains from the band off. And now we're going to make this half the handle. Knit 14 stitches. And don't forget to place the stitch marker. You're going to slip the stitch. Try to control if you're right. Yes. So slip. And knit until the next marker. Now turn to the back. Slipperwise and purl 30 stitches. Slipperwise. Turn. Continue repeating these 2 rows until you have 54 rows. It's done. Cut the yarn 30 centimeters long and put the stitches on hold. Now we're making another half of the handle near this part. Attach the yarn and repeat the first half of the handle we made. Knit 2 together. And knit 15 stitches. Here we are going to slip. Yes. And other 15 knits. Make sure you have 16 stitches here. Okay, turn your work. Repeat this for a total of 54 rows. Okay, after finishing this piece, put those stitches back on another needle. Pay attention, we are going to put them back from this side, so when we grab 2 pieces together, their round sides will face each other and the needles are pointing in the same direction. Place them well, like this. And cut a tail 100 centimeters long. Now we make Kitchener stitches to attach the handle. Firstly, to set up, purl the knit stitch, knit the purl stitch. Now start crafting. Slide off knit twice, purl. Slide off purlwise and knit. Slide off knitwise, purl. Slide off purlwise, knit. Now we are going to knit the final half of the handle. Attach the yarn and make the same as follows. After finishing it, cut a tail 100 centimeters long and put the stitches on hold back to the knotted needle. Then graft 2 pieces using Kitchener stitches, just like you did before. I show you a little bit again. Now fold the back side inward along the ridges. I placed 2 markers 14 centimeters from the top of the handle in each direction. We will close this area with mattress stitches. I'm going to sew under the bars in the middle of the edge stitches. Find the stitches carefully. Snug the yarn, and you can leave the tail to be woven in later. Now you just do it in the same way at the other part. And lastly, turn your bag inside out. We are going to fold the bag sides and fix them at the bottom. Fold it along the slip line. Sew the bottoms with the whip stitches. make a knot. Now I show you how I weave the end. Okay, now one side is fixed. You can use another thread to sew the other side. We're almost done, just weaving all the ends. In order to close the gap between the bag and the handle, I usually copy this stitch. Then make a V shape here. And throw it to the back and hide it nicely. Woohoo! You made it! Ta-da! I'm so happy you're still here. So let's make an apple. Start with the magic ring. Wrap the yarn twice around the fingers. Press it with your finger and make a loop through the ring. Make a chain. Now you just set up, but this doesn't count as a stitch. Now make 7 single crochet stitches. Place a marker on the first stitch. Continue to make the other 6. Pull gently the tail and find the moving ring. Okay, this one. Pull this ring first to close the other ring. And then pull the tail to close the circle. Make a slip stitch in the first stitch. And tighten it. Now we're going to make the second round. Make a chain. Single crochet in the first stitch. And a half double crochet in the same stitch. Double crochet in the next stitch. And a half double crochet in the same stitch. Half double crochet in the next stitch. And a single crochet in the same stitch. Slip this next stitch. Single crochet in the next stitch. And a half double crochet in the same stitch. Half double crochet in the next stitch. And a double crochet in the same stitch. Half double crochet in the next stitch. And a single crochet in the same stitch. Now pull out the yarn and cut it. Hide all ends in the back. Now we knit the stamp on top. Find the back loop of the slip stitch. Pick up and knit 3 stitches. If you find it difficult to do it, maybe you can use a small crochet hook for help. Pull the needle and move the stitches on the other needle. Make an I-cord for 2 rounds. Decrease the 3 stitches in 1. I'm using SSSK. Pull the yarn and cut it. Hide the ends inside the stem. Ooh, you just made an apple, and you can make more as you like. Yeah, I made 3.